Good afternoon. Thanks for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. A statewide COVID memorial service will take place later this month on the lawn of the State House in Montpelier. The service offers an opportunity to bring the Vermont community together and to reflect and remember those whose lives were lost to COVID. There will be a ceremonial reading of the names of Vermonters who have died because of the disease. To learn more, I'm joined by Debbie Ingram of Vermont Interfaith Action, which is serving as the host group of the memorial service. And joining Debbie is CJ King of Jamaica, Vermont, who is the lead organizer. Thank you both for being with us and for putting together this statewide memorial.
Thank you, Fran.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is great. Debbie, first, just when is it and what are you expecting to happen?
It is on Sunday afternoon, September 19th, so coming up pretty soon at 3 p.m. on the State House lawn in Montpelier. So we'll be outside for COVID protocols. And we want to honor those who have passed away because of COVID, those Vermonters who have, and really give people a chance to grieve and to mourn and pay their respects to the folks that haven't made it through this difficult time.
Yeah, terrific. And CJ, what's the origin of this reflection and remembrance? Where did the idea come from?
Well, three things really came together for me. Early last summer, I was taking a course at Hartford Seminary in disaster chaplaincy. And so we were obviously thinking a lot about COVID and how a spiritual leader might help through a situation. Alongside that, I, along with many people, watched in horror and a sense of helplessness as the numbers of deaths went up and up and up. And I hated to think of them as numbers because I knew that each one represented a family in grief. So for the final course assignment, I was asked to do something based on our course. And I remembered how special it was for me to be asked to light a candle during the reading of my mother's name at an All Saints Day service at her church. And so those things came together, and I decided for my course to do a sort of preliminary version of this that I hoped would someday be an actual event. And when I approached Vermont Interfaith Action, I was very grateful that they agreed to be a host organization so we could do this for everyone.
Wonderful. And Debbie, what are your hopes for this memorial? What can it offer us?
Well, I think we use the phrase pay our respects when we talk about any kind of memorial service. And so we want to be able to do that for sure, and indicate to the families of those who have been lost that we do respect them, even if we didn't know them personally. But I think also something that a memorial service can do is begin the healing process for all those who feel a sense of loss. And so I think we hope for the families who did personally know the folks who have passed away from COVID, and for others who just feel this sense of disruption of our lives in so many different ways, but realize that the ultimate disruption, the ultimate loss has been to actually have a loved one pass away. We're all grieving and suffering in a way. And so if we come together in community and acknowledge that we have felt this terrible loss, then we can begin the steps towards healing.
Well, you know, your interfaith organization brings together leaders of all faiths and organizes wonderful things. But, you know, Vermont is not a terribly organized religious place with many organized religions. Well, is this welcome for all? Will everybody feel welcome at this?
Absolutely. We really want to focus on the humanity, on our shared humanity. That's why we're going to spend the bulk of the time reading the names of the people who have passed away and doing some rituals with flowers to symbolically mark those lives that we've lost. So I think everyone of goodwill will feel welcome, and we really want to encourage every member of the public to come.
Wonderful. And CJ, so in a larger sense, why is ritual so important at a time of loss?
Well, I think my professor last summer, Dr. Lucinda Mosier, said it really well when she said that ritual helps to make the invisible visible. So it's a way that we can act on our feelings and do something with them, acknowledge them.
And Debbie, just a quick follow-up.
Yes, I think ritual also helps connect us to the past. And sometimes we don't know what to say exactly. We just know we have a lot of feelings, conflicting feelings, and we don't know what to say to each other. And there's something comforting about knowing that people for millennia have felt the same feelings and have come up with rituals to express what we're going through and to have that way of having meaning and solace at a very difficult time.
Well, Debbie and CJ, thank you so much. We're talking about a statewide COVID memorial service that will take place Sunday, September 19th at 3 p.m. on the lawn of the Vermont State House. That's Sunday, September 19th at 3 p.m. Again, Debbie Ingram and CJ King, thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
The high school years bring a lot of changes, including new friends and new responsibilities. The young adults in high school are learning life lessons, and they are often challenged to help make a difference. A few years back, Rebecca Golan met with some Vermont students who were helping people halfway around the world.
Our English class this whole year has been a little bit different. And
it's the end of the school year, and Addie Tensing is reflecting on what she's learned.
We learned just everything. It's kind of a mix of science. We've learned to mix different subjects together and put it into something great.
Though it is a humanities class and there's the history component and the English component, we spend a lot of the time looking at ideas.
Every fall at Champlain Valley Union High School, humanities teacher Stan Williams and his team challenge their students to come up with an idea or innovation that could improve the world.
We start with kids thinking about what is it that you love, what is it that interests you, what are the things that keep you awake at night, what are the things that have impacted you or your family or that you see on the news or you read about that are interesting.
Tensing and her group decided to focus on the issue of water scarcity in Africa.
Water is something that we should all have. We use it every day in our showers, food, everything. And in Africa and South America and even in our own country and state, there are people who don't have access to it or limited access where it's really bad and can cause many diseases.
The students came up with an initial concept and then were matched with community partners to pitch their ideas and get advice on how to proceed.
I was in an interview with a guy in our community. He goes to Africa and he focuses on finding water for people. And all my ideas were using solar energy and kinetic energy. And both of them are very complex, so if they break, it's hard for people in Africa to find the resources to fix them. And so he suggested a natural way, and the only natural way I could really think of were plants. So I just Googled plants that purify water.
That Google search wound up being a turning point for the group.
We all started off with different innovations, and then we decided collaborating would be the best way to find our best innovation possible. So we found Sadie's idea, which was originally a different purification process, but then Sadie actually found the moringa seed, and then we all looked further into it and researched, and then we tested it, and we found out that the moringa seed is a great purifier for water.
The students ordered some moringa seeds online and began doing experiments with water they found in puddles in the school parking lot. The initial results seemed successful, with dirty water turning clear.
I looked at their dirty water and their clean water samples and was fairly amazed and said, well, let's do some testing actually. Let's take this to the lab and get some data.
Joshua Faulkner is the Farming and Climate Change Coordinator at the University of Vermont's Center for Sustainable Agriculture. He is a soil and water engineer and has spent time working on water quality issues in West Africa. He met with the group to offer feedback on their project.
Initially, they were looking at filtering with a coffee filter, and we talked about the availability of certain materials and and coffee filters not being widely available in West Africa. And I said, you know, but textiles, there are a lot of textiles available.
We were trying to design a prototype that would be realistic, so we took things that we kind of had around our house. So Addie brought in a Tide detergent bottle thing that has 2 openings, and since there's a lot of textiles around Africa, we thought we could use old t-shirts and cut them up to use as filters to take out the moringa seed. And so we've kind of just been working on a prototype that could be realistic for people in Africa.
The positive protons in the protein in the moringa are going to bind to the negative bacteria and viruses. So those are going to bind together or coagulate.
With a workable design for their water filtration system, the group got some water sample kits from Faulkner. They sent samples of both the original and the treated water to be tested for E. coli. The results were surprising.
It didn't just work, it worked really well. It purified the water.
The original contaminated water had a maximum probable of 1,300 E. coli, and the one we purified had 1, so that's really good. Drinkable.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah.
Were you surprised?
Yeah, very surprised. After testing it, we kept thinking oh, I don't think this is gonna work. What happens if this doesn't? Because it was our whole entire end of the year project. And when it did, when we got it back in the mail, we were freaking out.
These results even impressed their scientific advisor.
Is that as impressive as it sounds?
Actually, I think it is. It's definitely not what I expected.
The group hopes to continue with the project next year and even travel to Africa at some point to share their innovation with the people they developed it for, and maybe just improve the world along the way.
And fresh.
In Heinsberg, I'm Rebecca Gollin with Across the Fence.
And that's our program for today. Once again, thank you for joining us across the fence. I'm Fran Stoddard. Stay well.